Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 115 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Luo Feng wore a black robe, draped with a blood-colored cloak, sitting cross-legged there, yet his aura was completely different. In the past, Luo Feng's aura was heavy and vast, heavier than a source world. Even those ancient ancestors felt a headache when they saw it, knowing that even dozens of ancestors besieging would have difficulty destroying Luo Feng's body, as it ranked among the top in the infinite primordial space in terms of defense capability. But many ancestors were not afraid of such strong defense capabilities. There were 30 undying and undying. What would strong defense count for then? What ancestors feared were those strong in slaughter. And Luo Feng had only one move, Origin Great Destruction, purely relying on the self-explosion move backed by sufficient energy reserves that all sides were wary of, but ancestors were not fools. Having witnessed it once, they naturally would prepare for it. My primordial life and death Tao, after all, is primarily centered on life. Although there are some means in the aspect of destruction, there is an essential gap to the highest level power. Luo Feng thought. The highest level power represents qualitative change. Just like the blood power of the Blood Crane territory, compared to Luo Feng's primordial life and death Tao, it is inferior in various aspects. But that is compared to Luo Feng. Compared to many ancestors, energy reserves, life force, and recovery power, etc., are already terrifying. This power of breaking, compared to the primordial blade path I pursue, certainly has many deficiencies. But after all, it is the highest level of destruction power, completely changing my destructive side qualitatively. Luo Feng revealed a smile. Relying solely on power of breaking, compared to Jin, Ming Huang, and Mo Man, naturally, it is somewhat inferior. But when the primordial life and death Tao and power of breaking combine, that's different. My life form is nearly 100 times stronger than Jin and Mo Man. Any random move of explosive energy from me can match them, burning their main fighting avatar. Under the terrifying energy maneuvering the power of breaking, what level of power can it reach? Luo Feng wasn't sure how strong he was now. Ancestor, who mastered 2 highest level powers, generally could rival a lord. If combined perfectly enough with the mysterious land's blessing, some special opportunities, one might even surpass a lord. Ancestors like the Ice Mountain Ancestor, Infinite Snake Ancestor, Kafu, Demon Ruins, etc., fall into this category. The Infinite Snake Ancestors have a combination of 2 different highest level powers. And I have a primordial level Tao and a highest level power. It should be stronger than them. Luo Feng had a vague understanding. He believed he could surpass all other opponents. Only 2? Starlight and Shoju. Luo Feng had no certainty. But undoubtedly, with the highest level of a destruction root power, after thoroughly mending the flaws and combining it with the life direction, there will naturally be qualitative change. Luo Feng's techniques were no longer just substantial to satisfy but, on the foundation of being substantial, every bit of power was extremely profound and contained the highest level of destructive mysteries. His tilde. Luo Feng's aura also contained part of the destruction essence. This is not yet my strongest state. If I master the primordial blade path, it will be stronger than now. After realizing the power of breaking, Luo Feng then understood what his biggest bottleneck was: to create a complete primordial blade path. To realize the primordial blade path, my biggest obstacle must be my inner self. Luo Feng thought. Any lord, the path they are best at, aligns most closely with their true heart. And the second path, the alignment with one's true heart, greatly diminishes. Just like Luo Feng, seeing Jin's created legacy, he disliked the spiritual power contained within the legacy. Destroy the heavens and the earth, for one's strength can destroy everything. Luo Feng couldn't accept. My inner self must align adequately with the direction of destruction to create a primordial blade path mainly of destruction. Luo Feng's heart was like a blade, capable of cutting through all obstacles. Through endless honing in the bygone eras, the heart was like a blade, growing sharper. But this heart of cutting was only barely capable of realizing the highest level of power of breaking, but far from enough to comprehend the complete primordial blade path. When I accumulated adequately, I found the biggest flaw was the inner self. Heart and Tao harmony, only then can one create the Tao. Luo Feng pondered. First, accumulate. The more adequate the accumulation, the better. Luo Feng's path of cultivation was always this way, with preparations in every aspect so abundant, the road then became smoother. With Luo Feng's thought, this cave mansion naturally dissolved, energy returned to this destruction world. Brother Wulan, I will continue exploring the next layer. Luo Feng said. Congratulations, Brother Luo Feng. When Luo Feng just broke through, the invisible fluctuation already disturbed the owner of this destruction world, Wulan. Thinking Luo Feng gained some insight in cultivation, Wulan didn't believe Luo Feng created a second Tao. Creating a second primordial level Tao, such a major event, is not only Luo Feng's big event, but also a major event for the entire cultivator camp. It definitely needs to be communicated to other lords. Abyss of Destruction, this mysterious land, named for destruction, is revered as the holy land in the minds of many ancestors in the entire infinite primordial space. Being able to have a seat in the land of eternity signifies undying and undying. Being able to occupy a layer in the Abyss of Destruction signifies a strength ranking in the top 30. It's important to know that even well-known existences like the Lotus Prison Mountain Master and the Primordial Beast Emperor are only in the top 5 layers. These two holy lands represent survival ability and combat ability respectively. The 8th layer. Luo Feng traversed the barriers of time and space and entered the 8th layer of the Abyss of Destruction. This 8th layer was shrouded in mist, and a towering black figure emerged from the ground. His body was covered in black scale armor, and a solitary eye blazed with blood-red flames as he coldly stared at Luo Feng. Lord Luo Feng, have you come here to seize this layer of the destruction world? Wugu Ancestor. Luo Feng looked at the other. This black towering figure was indeed one of the top 5 among the 12 undying and undying existences of the Ice Peak camp, the Wugu Ancestor. I'm sure you sensed it. I've delved continuously from the first layer of the destruction world, spending several eras on each layer, Luo Feng said. I'm exploring the Abyss of Destruction to hone my own cultivation. I won't seize this layer of the destruction world from you. Do you think I'd believe that? Wugu Ancestor angrily retorted, your cultivator lords have seized from me more than once. This is the 8th layer, with Lord Nai Jiyu on the 9th layer, Ming Huang, Jin, and Mo Man on the 11th to 13th layers respectively. Wugu was of the same era as Yuan. But later, he was surpassed one by the cultivator lords, each of whom caused Wugu much headache, making him appear rather clumsy. I can promise not to seize this layer of the destruction world. I only ask one requirement, arrange all the world envoys to besiege me, just for 1 or 2 eras. Luo Feng said. To aid your cultivation? Wugu Ancestor lightly shook his head, you wish? Even without seizing, Wugu Ancestor didn't want to cooperate. Previously, the Ice Peak camp invaded the cultivator territory, and it was the Wugu Ancestor who invaded the most. At that time, Wugu Ancestor's true body was stationed in the occupied territory. But all the hard-earned gains had to be returned. To have the things he seized returned? Wugu Ancestor was really unhappy about it. Being undying and undying, when had he ever endured such humiliation? But at that time, the entire Ice Peak camp decided together, so he couldn't go against it. But at this moment, I can't possibly cooperate with you. Just get out of here, go to the next layer. Wugu Ancestor coldly sneered. Not cooperating. Luo Feng's face turned cold, then I can only force you to cooperate. Force me to cooperate? Ha ha ha. If I don't want to, you can't even touch a world envoy. Wugu Ancestor coldly sneered, enough, quickly get out of this layer of the destruction world. At a mere thought, billowing dark clouds rolled over, vast and mighty. The endless dark clouds instantly engulfed Luo Feng, and in these clouds was the added power of the world of this layer of the destruction world. This power could be concentrated into hundreds of envoys or used to enhance oneself. Concentrating into world envoys was, after all, the best way to maximize combat power. After all, the power of destruction contained in this layer of the world was not what Wugu Ancestor excelled at. Get out! Wugu Ancestor already possessed combat strength at an average Lord level, slightly inferior in fighting ability, but quite powerful in the domain aspect. His life core could be integrated into his power and appear in any avatar. That's why he dared to station his true body in the occupied territory alone at the time. At that thought alone, the life core integrated from an infinitely distant place into this avatar, naturally making this avatar a true body. With the continuous supply of destruction world power, it quickly rose to the strongest state. Even enhanced by the power of destruction world, it became 3 times stronger than the true body in its normal state. Boom tilde tilde tilde, boundless dark clouds crushed towards Luo Feng, trying to force him out. These clouds were extremely heavy, with a terrifying sense of oppression. Get out, Wugu Ancestor was rather disdainful, wanting him to cooperate for cultivation. This cultivator lord was truly dreaming. Suddenly, a cold blade light shimmered. This blade light instantly pierced through the layers of dark clouds, even touching Wugu Ancestor's body. Wugu Ancestor only felt a terrifying force instantly slashing through his body, as if his body willingly split apart. Split apart? Wugu Ancestor was shocked and angry, turning his head to look. That blade light, wrapped around a figure, had already slashed into the depths of this layer of the destruction world, heading straight for the core shadow of origin. Not good. Wugu Ancestor was shocked and angry. His speed was far less than that of Luo Feng at this moment. The power of destruction world that was originally enhanced on his body quickly dissipated, rapidly forming as many as 550 world envoys. Stop him! Wugu Ancestor hurriedly ordered with a thought. This group of world envoys joining forces was only slightly inferior to him. As long as they could stall Luo Feng for a while, he would be able to join forces with the world envoys. World envoys, acting on orders, tried their best to block. Whoosh! The blade light was sharp, fleeting, it sliced over 300 world envoys in half with one slash. Almost unhindered, the blade light had already reached the place where the shadow of origin was. Wugu Ancestor hadn't even had time to catch up, but he felt he had lost control of this layer of the destruction world. Wugu, you're no longer needed, get lost. Luo Feng appeared on the surface, his blood-red robe fluttering, coldly looking at him. How is this possible? This is impossible. Wugu Ancestor couldn't understand how under the world's power enhancement, not even for an instant could he intercept. This Luo Feng had never displayed such terrifying strength during the battles between the two camps. Luo Feng looked at the Wugu Ancestor coldly, still not giving up? Still want to fight? After all, the Wugu Ancestor is a being comparable to the Cultivator Lord, naturally insightful. His domain and physical body were effortlessly severed, over 300 world envoys were cleaved with a single stroke. This terrifying might, the Wugu Ancestor was well aware of its implications. I really didn't expect that the Cultivator camp would have a Starlight Lord, and then you, Lord Luo Feng. The Wugu Ancestor snorted coldly and then immediately plunged into time and space, heading to a higher layer of the abyss of destruction. The Ice Peak camp's territory. Ice Mountain Master. A manifestation of the Wugu Ancestor descended, immediately seeking the Ice Peak Ancestor. A towering ice mountain figure opened its eyes, composed entirely of deep blue ice, naturally emitting an endless chill, making it impossible for low-level primordial and high-level primordial beings to survive over the surrounding vast area. Wu Ji. The Ice Peak Ancestor looked at the Wugu Ancestor. Do you have something to say? Ranked among the top 3 in the Ice Peak camp, respectively are Shouju, Ice Mountain, and Pu Cheng. But Pu Cheng Ancestor is the most disobedient among the 12 Undying and Undying. Although the Wugu Ancestor is somewhat greedy, it is at least more obedient, so the Ice Peak Ancestor values the Wugu Ancestor. Ice Mountain Master, I encountered Luo Feng in the Abyss of Destruction. Wu Jiyu solemnly said, I went all out, but the result was my body being severed in one stroke, and the control of the 8th layer destruction world was also taken away. The Ice Peak Ancestor was shocked. Impossible. Before engaging, I wouldn't have believed it either. The Wugu ancestor said while waving his hand, showing the previous battle scene in midair beside him. Since battles often occur in the abyss of destruction, the various forces can't keep an eye on it all the time. The confrontation between the Wugu ancestor and Luo Feng happened too quickly, and no one noticed. When I fought with Luo Feng, no other powerhouse was paying attention to the destruction world in this layer at that time. The Wugu ancestor said in a deep voice, "This battle remains a secret for now." Even if one tries to observe the past, generally, the confrontation at this level isn't visible. Observing the past can reveal battles at the ancestor and lord level, yet in the entire endless primordial space, only a handful can achieve this. As for observing the future? The past is set, but the future holds countless possibilities. Walking on different future timelines can confuse many strong beings. It's far more difficult than observing the past. Could this Luo Feng really be so strong? The Ice Peak ancestor commented after watching the entire battle scene, "Though your physical body isn't particularly strong, among the ancestors, it's considered upper medium, with a strong domain as well, and even with the power of destruction world to boost you, you didn't block a single move. This destructive power has surpassed Mo Man, Jin, and Ming Huang from the cultivator camp." The Wugu ancestor nodded, as he had engaged with Mo Man, Jin, Ming Huang, among others due to some struggles over the destruction world. This Luo Feng is certainly much stronger than Jin, Mo Man, and the others. Simply relying on the power of breaking is naturally far inferior to Jin and the others. Yet, when the primordial life and death Tao is combined with the power of breaking, some of Luo Feng's killing moves can instantly unleash 1/10 of the energy reserve. This is much more substantial than the energy burned by Jin, Mo Man, and Ming Huang when they burned their main battle avatar. Luo Feng's blade naturally severed the Wugu ancestor's body with ease. Though Yuan is powerful, his expertise lies in formation. He can't achieve what Luo Feng has. This destructive power directly targets Starlight and Shaoju. It's already considered the highest tier of the infinite primordial space. After watching the complete battle scene, Ice Peak ancestor made his judgment, but his mood wasn't good. The cultivator camp, which once depended on him, has already become quite disobedient, and now that Luo Feng's strength has increased once again, the cultivator camp will only become more dominant. The Wugu asked, "Ice Mountain Master, how should we respond? Endless just broke through, and now Luo Feng breaks through." The Ice Peak ancestor indeed felt somewhat exhausted. After the infinite ancestor breakthrough, he became undying, rivaling the Ice Peak ancestor in strength. Moreover, the innate primordial camp is originally the strongest faction, and now it's even stronger. The rising star in the cultivator camp, Luo Feng, is advancing close to the level of Starlight and Shaoju. As the leader of the three camps, Ice Peak camp, how could the Ice Peak ancestor not feel exhausted? Within his own camp, Piyu Cheng is disobedient, and the three monarchs of Feng Lei Si are always stirring up trouble. Don't worry, the strongest conflict with the cultivator camp is with the innate primordial camp. The innate primordial camp owns half of the ancestors in the entire endless primordial space. Their hunger for resources, their thirst for the source world origin, makes them destined mortal enemies. The Ice Peak ancestor opened his mouth, "Let them fight first. The harder they fight, the greater the hatred, and the harder it is to reconcile." The Wugu nodded. The number of ancestors in the Ice Peak camp is far less than half compared to the innate primordial camp. Now this Luo Feng has only been a lord for how long? The Ice Peak ancestor sighed, "Our Ice Peak camp hasn't had a strong force appearing for a long time. This Luo Feng is indeed somewhat terrifying." The Wugu ancestor was quite proud. Yet, Luo Feng's growth rate still startled the Wugu. Indeed, now he is directly challenging Starlight and Shaoju. What about the future? The Ice Peak ancestor felt as if the cultivator camp was about to surpass their Ice Peak camp, and that Ice Peak camp had no way to deal with it, a sense of powerlessness. The eighth layer of the abyss of destruction. Shadow of origin, indeed peculiar. Luo Feng quickly left his mark on the shadow of origin. Now that the Wugu ancestor had departed, Luo Feng began to carefully study the shadow of origin. Unlike the normal origin of a mysterious land, it's more illusory. No wonder it's called shadow of origin by the ancestors and lords. It's so ethereal, seemingly dependent on the entire abyss of destruction for its existence. Luo Feng vaguely perceived. Even at the 8th level, all the power of the world augmenting me, does it only increase my strength by 20%? Luo Feng tried it out. The power of destruction world augmenting himself was indeed very weak. One must know that within the blood crane territory, my strength can multiply several times. Even at a far distance, the power of the blood crane territory's support is still quite helpful. Once I leave this layer of destruction world, the augmentation of the power of destruction world will weaken. Luo Feng was already aware of the information. By that time, there's only one usage. The weakened power of destruction world can be used to augment weapons, enhancing their destructive power. This is also the only suitable usage. The destructive power of weapons varies depending on the strength of the destruction world, generally increasing the weapon's destructive power by 10%. But ancestors and lords, many techniques do not use weapons and therefore have no augmentation. Luo Feng thought, for instance, some domain techniques or long-distance techniques are not suitable for weapon execution, rendering the power of destruction world unhelpful. So compared to mastering a mysterious land, mastering a layer of destruction world is relatively weak assistance. However, no matter what, being able to enhance a weapon's power by about 10% is still significant to an ancestor or a lord. After all, at their level, enhancing one's strength is extremely difficult. Luo Feng, having just broken through with break laws with force, is still in a period of rapid growth. If in the future he truly comprehends the primordial blade path, Luo Feng, like other ancestors and lords, will face the same situation where even a small step of improvement is extremely difficult. Attack me! Luo Feng sat cross-legged on the 8th layer of the abyss of destruction, and with a single thought, 550 world envoys formed, each madly attacking. The highest level power of destruction on this 8th layer can be called power of extinction, with destruction occupying 80% and the world occupying 20%. Luo Feng calmly sensed, this abyss of destruction, each layer contains different powers of destruction. It is said that on deeper layers, there are powers of destruction where 3 Daos are fused. According to the intelligence he understood, the power of destruction beyond the 20th layer is all a fusion of 3 Daos. For instance, on the 26th layer where the Starlight Lord resides, called the Black Fire Tribulation Power, destruction accounts for 80%, the Fire Path for 10%, and darkness for 10%. This layer of the world has only 50 world envoys, though they can only borrow a portion of the Black Fire Tribulation Power. Their joint efforts are enough to pressure the Starlight Lord. As the abyss of destruction continually deepens, the more Daos are fused. Does this mean, the more Daos fused, the stronger one becomes? Luo Feng thought. Based on the experience of ancestors and lords. Ancestors who master the highest level power, the more they master, the more perfectly combined, the stronger they become. Especially refining and mastering a mysterious land, there's a very high requirement on the quantity of the highest level power mastered. The blood crane territory contains 3 types of highest level power, those containing 4 types, 5 types, or even more highest level powers. The threshold for refining is imaginable. All ancestors, the different highest level powers an individual can master, are currently at most just 2 types. Cultivator lords mastering primordial level Dao are also at most 2 types currently. Everyone knows that more Daos, more types of the highest level power, will certainly enhance strength. But the further along, the difficulty rises sharply. Root yourself in the path under your feet, and continue walking your own way. Luo Feng felt the assault from 550 world envoys, studying the various mysteries of this power of destruction, increasing his own accumulation. While Luo Feng was cultivating, chaos was erupting on the previous layers of the abyss of destruction. The Wugu ancestor first contended with Wulan of the 7th layer, but Wulan, with his world envoys assisting, easily blocked him. Then he clashed with Xiao Saiwei of the 6th layer, who was also from the Ice Peak camp. Wugu ancestor and Xiao Saiwei already had a poor relationship. This time, he attacked forcefully without any concern for face, but was still blocked by Xiao Saiwei. Ultimately, Wugu ancestor succeeded in seizing control of the 5th layer from the Lotus Prison Mountain Master. The Lotus Prison Mountain Master excelled in defense, but Wugu Ancestor's domain could restrain the Lotus Prison Mountain Master, simultaneously dealing with the world envoys, ultimately securing control over the fifth layer. The Lotus Prison Mountain Master, having lost the Destruction World, could only go to fight for other Destruction Worlds, clashing again with the Inference Fire Ancestor on the fourth layer. Finally, no layer among the first few was stable, each was forced to engage in battle. After more than one epoch on the eighth layer, Luo Feng moved to the ninth layer of the Abyss of Destruction. On this layer, three gorgeously dressed female figures simultaneously looked at Luo Feng. Among these three women, one was petite and adorable, one tall and aloof, and one had an expressionless, serene gaze. Lord Luo Feng, the three women looked at Luo Feng. Ancestor Liu Yu, Luo Feng greeted courteously. Ancestor Liu Yu was born with three bodies, sharing a single life core that could transfer between the three bodies at any time. Her current strength ranks in the top 20 of the endless primordial space. Yet because of her three-body form, she has yet to achieve undying and undying. Nevertheless, due to the three-body form, completely killing her is extremely difficult. She is quite aloof, seldom involving herself in disputes, nor joining any camp. Not long ago, the ninth layer of the Abyss of Destruction was Lord Nai-Ji-Yu. However, with the Infinite Ancestor seizing control of the 18th layer from Kafu, chaotic battle erupted from the 9th to the 18th layer, changing the occupants. Counting the chaos resulting from Luo Feng's seizing of the 8th layer from Wugu Ancestor, strictly speaking, battles occurred across the first 18 layers with significant changes in occupants. Lord Luo Feng has traveled from the first layer all the way here, staying for more than one epoch on each layer. Is it for cultivation? Ancestor Liu Yu inquired courteously. As long as one does not provoke her, she is amicable to any faction. Provoking her naturally leads to fierce retaliation. Yes, I also hope for Ancestor Liu Yu's assistance in organizing all the world envoys to attack me, Luo Feng requested. A trivial matter. Ancestor Liu Yu happily nodded. Commanding the world envoys is merely a matter of thought, requiring no resource expenditure, so she gladly took the opportunity to make a friendly connection with Lord Luo Feng. Soon, 500 world envoys besieged Luo Feng, and he continued to experience the new power of destruction. More than one epoch passed. Luo Feng bid farewell to Ancestor Liu Yu and proceeded to the next layer. Being able to fight through layer by layer, staying at least an epoch on each, Lord Luo Feng surely has some formidable techniques for one-on-one combat, Ancestor Liu Yu realized, for not every layer yielded to Luo Feng, sometimes, strength was necessary. Ancestor Liu Yu also began to follow Luo Feng's subsequent journey with interest. Beyond the 10th layer, the difficulty escalates significantly compared to below 10 layers. Further down, it's soon the level of the Infinite Ancestor, Yuan, Ice Mountain Master, Infinite Snake Ancestor, and beyond that are Starlight, Shoju, and further still, the Unsolved Destruction World. I wonder how far Lord Luo Feng will eventually go. Ancestor Liu Yu looked on from afar. The 10th layer of the Abyss of Destruction, where Lord Nai-Ji-Yu currently resides. Lord Nai-Ji-Yu, with his deep blue skin, looked up and smiled as Luo Feng descended. Luo Feng, I've been waiting for you. Nai-Ji-Yu, you've reached the 10th layer. Luo Feng replied casually, as moving down layer by layer in the Abyss of Destruction to come into contact with various powers of destruction was relatively easy for the lords occupying those layers. All thanks to that Infinite Ancestor, who seized the 18th layer from Kafu, causing chaos, which naturally allowed us to advance somewhat, Lord Nai-Ji-Yu remarked. The Abyss of Destruction rarely sees such changes. Luo Feng agreed. The occupiers have the help of the world envoy, so unless someone as powerful as Luo Feng or the Infinite Ancestor comes, the positions won't change easily. I sensed the Abyss of Destruction carefully. Has Mogus disappeared? Luo Feng inquired. Kafu, having lost the 18th layer, went to bully the severely weakened Mogus. Mogus, hunted by Starlight, was left with less than 10% of his life forms. Naturally, he couldn't withstand Kafu. A weakened Mogus has no chance to contest any layer for now, Nai-Ji-Yu smiled. Luo Feng was pleased to hear this. The entire cultivator camp was hostile towards Mogus, but in reality, across the infinite primordial space, the only real nemesis of Mogus, who excelled in the highest level of soul power, was the Starlight Lord. Other factions generally didn't wish to offend Mogus. Mogus cared not for other resources, only for the souls of the weak. Those factions naturally tolerated him. Moreover, with Mogus being undying and ranking within the top 10, closely rivaling the Infinite Snake Ancestor, the Ice Peak Ancestor, and Yuan, and having no attachments, who would dare provoke him? Even if his power was greatly diminished, few dared to seize his destruction world, fearing his vengeance after recovery. Only the lone, Kafu, dared to forcibly take from Mogus. Mogus is terrifying, Nijiu lamented. He mastered the highest level of soul power. In the past, no ancestors or lords could threaten him. Our cultivator camp faced endless difficulties. In the most harrowing times, his power infiltrated over 1/10 of the source worlds in our camp, devouring countless souls. Luo Feng remained silent, feeling a weight in his heart. No lord could tolerate more than 1/10 of the source world creatures in their camp having their souls devoured. Even the pursuit by Starlight is not easy. He has to scour the entire spacetime to find and hunt Mogus, only temporarily weakening him. Mogus will inevitably return, Nijiu explained. Luo Feng felt helpless. The power of the highest level of soul power. It can hide within any life form below the ancestor level. What can Luo Feng do? The vastness of the infinite primordial space and the multitude of creatures left him at a loss. If our cultivator camp could produce a lord mastering the soul path, perhaps he could counter Mogus, Nijiu mused. It's too difficult. Even now, not a single godly king at the ultimate realm in the soul path has emerged. Luo Feng shook his head, saying that the complete soul path wasn't even contained within the great Tao in the source world origin, with no direct reference available. Historically, there have been 93 fusion Tao cultivators at the half-primordial level, yet not a single godly king at the ultimate realm in the soul path. And the ultimate realm of the soul path is still a long way off from the primordial level soul path. Nijiu, I'll need you to arrange for all world envoys to attack me to aid in my cultivation, Luo Feng requested. All right. Nijiu immediately commanded the world envoys to assault Luo Feng. Though once a tribulation cultivator like Jin, Nijiu was eager to befriend Luo Feng. Because he knew that with Luo Feng's power-breaking technique, he might be his greatest help in obtaining the ancestor bloodline in the future. Whoever could help him obtain the ancestor bloodline, Nijiu would draw close to. Jin, however, maintained more pride. One's character could be glimpsed from their path. One embraced the primordial bloodline Tao, aiming to encompass all ancestor bloodlines, while the other pursued the primordial destruction path with a strong heart of destruction. The 11th layer of the Abyss of Destruction is presided over by Piyu Cheng Ancestor, the third most powerful in the Ice Peak camp. Piyu Cheng Ancestor is small in stature yet extremely tenacious. In combat ability, he's not far behind Mo Man, Jin, and Ming Huang, and with a robust body, his overall strength surpasses them. Among the 12 immortal existences in the Ice Peak camp, Piyu Cheng Ancestor has the worst relationship with the Ice Peak Ancestor. Lord Luo Feng, my Piyu Cheng clan has always had good relations with your cultivator camp, and Yuan is my friend. Piyu Cheng Ancestor greeted Luo Feng courteously. You are welcome to visit our territory anytime. Thank you, Piyu Cheng Ancestor. Luo Feng also knew that of the 12 beings in the Ice Peak camp, the ones with the best relations with the cultivator camp were Piyu Cheng Ancestor and Xiao Saiwei, both having deep friendships with Yuan. Xiao Saiwei becoming immortal had ties with Yuan. This debt of gratitude made Xiao Saiwei's relationship with Yuan extraordinary. The good relationship between Piyu Cheng Ancestor and the cultivator camp primarily stemmed from the significant conflict between the Piyu Cheng clan and the Ice Peak clan, being the two most powerful clans within the Ice Peak camp. They fiercely contended for resources. Need the world envoy to attack you? Piyu Cheng Ancestor chuckled, having observed Luo Feng several times and knowing he'd been assaulted in those destruction worlds for 1 or 2 eras. 1 or 2 eras is enough, it's a bother to you, Luo Feng stated. Piyu Cheng Ancestor nodded, immediately sending a thought to deploy the world envoys for the assault. The 12th to 14th levels of the Abyss of Destruction are Mo Man, Jin, and Ming Huang. After all, they are all part of the cultivator camp and naturally cooperate well. From now on, you need to be careful. From the 15th level onward, You might have to battle continuously, Mo Man said. Luo Feng nodded, I know. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with fierce battle intent. The further he goes, the more terrifying the opponents will become. For Luo Feng, who loves combat, since becoming a lord, a thrilling battle has become quite precious. I will cherish every opponent. Luo Feng's eyes burned with intensity. Whoosh! Luo Feng directly crossed through space and time, entering a deeper layer of the abyss of destruction. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The 15th level of the abyss of destruction is enveloped in endless darkness, occupied by the silent extinction ancestor, one of the top 3 in the innate primordial camp. Luo Feng? A massive dark light coalesced and appeared, with a figure faintly resembling both a human and a bird within the dark light. Silent extinction ancestor. Luo Feng also looked at the other party. I've observed you traversing the abyss of destruction. You don't seek detailed exploration but want to be besieged by the world envoys of each level. Silent extinction ancestor spoke. Exploration? Luo Feng cared most about the power of destruction on each level. As for exploration, Luo Feng knew well that the greater opportunities lay further down, so there was no need to spend effort exploring the shallower destruction worlds. Silent extinction ancestor, can you have all the world envoys besiege me? Luo Feng asked. My true body is not here. Silent extinction ancestor's voice resonated throughout the world, but you, a cultivator lord, expect me to help you? What a joke! Luo Feng nodded with a smile, then I can only take forceful action to make you cooperate. Give it a try. Silent extinction ancestor was quite confident, even if my true body is not here, you can't do anything to me. Oh? Luo Feng extended his hand, and a sky-splitting saber appeared in his grip. Although he had traversed through many layers of destruction world, during confrontations with the world envoys, he acquired 6 destruction weapons, but none had anything special beyond the level of the sky-splitting saber. Humph! Silent extinction ancestor initiated a thought, and instantly 260 violet avian appeared. Each violet avian was covered head to toe with dense violet scales, their surface adorned with innumerable secret patterns, each violet avian resembling a weapon, borrowing part of the highest level power of destruction, imposing a terrifying force. At the same time, silent extinction ancestor split in 2 forms, descending dark light on each avian. Generally, ancestors enhance themselves with the power of destruction world or condense it into a group of world envoys. However, silent extinction ancestor, whose true body is absent, used his strength to enhance the world envoys. Silent extinction ancestor excelled in the dark power and power of death, these 2 highest level powers, whose combined force is called power of annihilation. This power could target both physical bodies and souls, posing a grave threat. Although not reaching the undying and immortal state, he still ranks among the top 3 in the innate primordial camp, reflecting the extraordinary nature of his strength. Kill. World envoys avian, each wielded the power of annihilation, fearlessly besieged Luo Feng. These accumulative world envoys themselves had about 80 to 90% of silent extinction ancestors' strength. Now, enhanced with the power of annihilation, they were slightly stronger than silent extinction ancestors' complete true body. Buzz buzz. 2 avian directly tore through the air with their claws, grasping onto the surface of Luo Feng's blood-red robe, creating ripples. Luo Feng felt the damage of these attacks, casually counterattacking, with blade light slicing through like threads around, effortlessly cutting dozens of violet avian. This made silent extinction ancestor, whose force imprinted on the avian, change color. With my enhancement, these world envoys are still so fragile before him. Silent extinction ancestor couldn't believe it. Buzz buzz buzz. Luo Feng did not exert full strength. While feeling the mysterious aspects of the attacking power of destruction, he casually tried targeting with his saber, leading to the downfall of numerous avian. With my enhancement, these world envoys now slightly surpass my true body, yet in front of Luo Feng, they have no resistance at all. Silent extinction ancestor felt a bit apprehensive. The blade light seemed subtle, but it was indeed unbreakable, all things could be cut. Upon touch, it would cut in half. Luo Feng frowned at the scattered flight of more than 10 violet avian, saying, "Silent extinction ancestor, could you arrange for all the world envoys to besiege me with full effort? I need them to last 1 or 2 eras. If you are unwilling to cooperate, then I can only take control of this level of destruction world." He didn't care for control over this level of the world. "I can't stop you, I shall cooperate," Silent Extinction Ancestor said. At this moment, Silent Extinction Ancestor felt that this cultivator Lord Luo Feng was quite good-natured. Having enough power but not taking control of this level's destruction world. He relinquished his enhancement on the world envoy's power, and with a thought, commanded the world envoys to besiege at full force. Also, each time a world envoy dies, power will again condense new world envoys to attack unceasingly. Luo Feng was immersed in cultivation, paying no heed to Silent Extinction Ancestor. "This Luo Feng doesn't even look up to me." Silent Extinction Ancestor had mixed feelings. Despite being one of the top 3 in the innate primordial camp, the number of layers he occupied in the abyss of destruction deeper than him were all recognized among the top 10. What? Silent Extinction Ancestor was easily defeated in front of Lord Luo Feng. Even if it's not the true body, with the world envoys united, they shouldn't be so fragile. The scene of Luo Feng's battle with Silent Extinction Ancestor was observed by quite a few powerful beings. The Cultivator Lords, along with ancestors like Liu Yu Ancestor, Wu Ji Yu Ancestor, and others, since it was already the 15th level of the Abyss, this deep-level confrontation between two powerful beings naturally attracted attention. Lord Luo Feng's strength is even stronger than during the two factions' war. Silent Extinction Ancestor isn't his true body. The exerted power is limited. From the 16th level onward, it'll be completely different. From the 16th level onward, the occupants are all ranked among the top 10 existences, and each possesses a true body. The true body cooperates with world envoys unless the strength gap is huge or complete suppression. Otherwise, one cannot win. Many ancestors watched with anticipation, eager for the upcoming stronger conflicts. The 7 lords of the cultivator camp also noticed the strengthening of their comrade Luo Feng. "Luo Feng, have you comprehended the second primordial path?" Yuan transmitted eagerly. "Not yet. I've just figured out a form of power of destruction," Luo Feng replied. Yuan still felt delighted. With 2 different highest-level powers, well coordinated, they can exhibit very strong potency. Luo Feng wielded 1 primordial level Dao combined with 1 power of destruction. His foundation was vastly formidable. Moreover, Luo Feng's strength of 1 life and 1 destruction, the combination was intensely suited for combat. More and more were noticing Luo Feng. Luo Feng? On the 16th level of the Abyss of Destruction, the current occupant here was Carfu Xiao. Carfu Xiao wore white battle armor, his gaze piercing through space-time to observe Luo Feng on the 15th level, with unprecedented fervor. Carfu Xiao, solitary and famed as the most belligerent in the endless primordial space, views combat as the greatest pleasure of his prolonged existence. A thrilling battle was what Carfu Xiao dreamed of. "Luo Feng, my 16th level won't be easy to breach." Carfu Xiao already anticipated the forthcoming battle. When Luo Feng headed to the 16th layer of the Abyss of Destruction, more than 30 ancient beings from the entire endless primordial space looked over, including the Infinite Snake Ancestor and the Ice Peak Ancestor, all giving this battle immense attention. "Although I'm slightly stronger than Carfu, once he teams up with the World Envoy, I will also be at a disadvantage." The Ice Peak Ancestor's eyes were cold. As one of the few with the highest status in the entire infinite primordial space, his strength was among the top ranks, and with Shoju supporting him wholeheartedly, his power was self-evident. Yet the cultivator camp, which once relied on him, was growing stronger, and naturally, the Ice Peak Ancestor was not pleased with this. This battle will also reveal Luo Feng's true strength. The Ice Peak Ancestor watched indifferently. Carfu's strength is recognized as powerful. Previously, he occupied the 18th layer. After the breakthrough of the Infinite Ancestor, he failed to contest the 17th layer. The Feather Emperor and numerous world envoys joined forces to suppress the Infinite Ancestor. In terms of frontal combat strength, the Infinite Ancestor slightly surpasses Carfu, but is still no match for Carfu, and the world envoy teamed up. At that time, the infinite ancestor relied on his ubiquitous advantage to hold Kafou at bay and was the first to grasp the shadow of origin. The strength of Kafou and the world envoy, when combined, can rival the demon ruins. The infinite snake ancestor gazed from afar, enough to clearly witness Luo Feng's strength. If a third strongest must be selected in the endless primordial space, it would be the demon ruins. If initial represents the ultimate of the defense Dao, the demon ruins represents the ultimate of destruction. It is only due to the weaker movement technique and clumsy techniques that it is notably weaker than Starlight and Shaoju. I broke through. Did Luo Feng also break through? The infinite ancestor also watched. Because of Luo Feng's battle, it was inspired and managed to reach the undying and undying realm, establishing an immortal bond, making the infinite ancestor view Luo Feng in a different light. Of course, being from opposing camps, it did not harbor much gratitude. Rather, in its eyes among the over 200 ancestor and lord-level beings in the endless primordial space, Luo Feng was a very special one. I grow stronger, Luo Feng grows stronger. Indeed, this cultivator camp is the biggest rival to our innate primordial camp. The cultivator camp has grown stronger. The great cloud woman Shaoju, ranking the 27th layer, and also the being that delved deepest into the abyss of destruction in the endless primordial space. In the near future, it might completely surpass the Ice Peak camp. The innate primordial camp possesses nearly half of the ancestor-level beings, and there are continually new ancestors being born. The cultivator camp has countless source worlds as their foundation and is also birthing one lord after another. Every lord is a master of the primordial Tao, immensely powerful individuals who, when cooperating, are even more terrifying. Both camps have continued to grow stronger, causing the Ice Peak camp to fall behind gradually. Luo Feng could sense over 30 pairs of eyes focused on him, and he could even trace back to determine the origin of each gaze. The encounter with Kafou indeed draws significant attention. Luo Feng mused silently. Never before had so many strong beings watched a confrontation. Finally breaking through layers of temporal and spatial barriers, entering the deeper 16th layer. The 16th layer of the destruction world was filled with innumerable dark green gigantic plants, growing immensely lushly across the world, everywhere. A figure stood atop the crown of the tallest tree. It was Kafou. Kafou was dressed in white battle armor, his eyes fervently watching Luo Feng. Lord Luo Feng, come battle me. Kafou's voice was mighty, resonating throughout this layer of the destruction world. As long as I enjoy the battle, even if you lose, I'll arrange a world envoy to assist in your cultivation. But if you're too weak, I'll simply expel you. Luo Feng looked at Kafou. Their eyes met from afar, understanding each other's resolve. I enjoy the passion of battle, but this Kafou was born for combat. Luo Feng could feel this. His heart had family, a tribe. But Kafou's heart held only battle. Hope you won't be like the infinite ancestor, just restraining me and evading me. That's utterly dull. Kafou stared at Luo Feng. Clash with me face to face. As long as you can take the upper hand, this layer of the destruction world is yours. Rest assured, I will face you head on. Luo Feng nodded. While speaking, he reached out. The sky-splitting saber appeared in his hand. Ha ha ha. Accompanied by resounding laughter throughout the destruction world, Kafou's figure moved. Immediately, an enormous hand covering half the sky loomed over, as if an immense mountain was crashing down, causing this layer of the destruction world to begin twisting. Boom! Luo Feng stood there, casually waving his saber. The blade light was like a long whip, drawing an arc across the sky. Even the destruction world had split open, and this blade light struck the huge hand. The huge hand split directly. Countless blood flowed down, like a lake. The vast blood poured down, enveloping Luo Feng, the blood like snakes, layer upon layer binding Luo Feng. Break! Luo Feng remained motionless. From his center, countless blade lights erupted from his body, sweeping outwardly in all directions, severing and annihilating the encroaching blood and hand. All of this blood and the energy formed by the severed hand flew back, merging into Kafou's body in the distance. Able to hurt my body, Luo Feng, your blade is indeed formidable. Kafou stood there. The white battle armor on his body began to spread, extending onto his hands, spreading onto his head, enveloping his entire body, with white glinting in his eyes. Kafou's figure moved, approaching Luo Feng, commencing close combat. Every finger held the power to destroy heaven and earth, the force terrifyingly strong, incomparably sharp, with immense destructive power. Even Jin Lord was oppressed in direct combat with him. Kafu's combat skills had almost reached the primordial level Dao. His body itself served as a weapon everywhere. Clang clang clang. Luo Feng wielded the sky-splitting saber. With the primordial blade path taking form, his blade technique became comprehensive, complemented by the endless sharpness brought by the power of breaking. Luo Feng didn't immediately use endless energy to overwhelm his opponent. Instead, he aimed to hone his blade technique. The sky-splitting saber collided numerous times with Kafu's body, striking the white battle armor. The impact was weakened by the armor, leaving Kafu's body seemingly undamaged. Compared to Kafu's combat skills, my blade technique is still too immature. The manipulation of 10 billion 8 million units of origin power is still too raw, not fully unleashing my potential. Facing Kafu, the most combative in the endless primordial space, Luo Feng quickly realized many imperfections in the nascent primordial blade path. He controlled the energy burst so that each blade technique was slightly more powerful than the opponent's, yet Kafu could compensate with combat skills. On the surface, the two seemed evenly matched. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Kafu fought with great excitement, laughing wildly during the battle. Despite trying every means and exerting full strength, the evenly matched duel was exhilarating. If the battle were one-sided, even if Luo Feng crushed Kafu, Kafu might gain something but wouldn't feel the same passion in battle. It has to be an evenly matched, head-on confrontation for it to be enjoyable. No matter who wins or loses this battle, I can offer you this layer of destruction world. Kafu laughed heartily. Luo Feng, from now on, you are my friend. Friend Luo Feng, let's have a good fight. Kafu relished the battle. It had been too long since he experienced such a thrilling battle. Kafu, from now on, you are my friend too. Luo Feng also benefited greatly from this battle. The combat skills requirement of the primordial blade path was extremely high, and in terms of combat skills, Kafu was unparalleled. During the clash, Luo Feng continuously absorbed insights, gradually perfecting the primordial blade path. Although the energy burst level didn't increase in battle, Luo Feng began to gain the upper hand. The destructive power of his blade was on the rise. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. They fought from the sky down to the depths of the trees, and then into the ground, engaging in different environments. They enjoyed the battle. Good, good, good. Kafu fought with extreme enjoyment. The opponent's strength was slowly rising, increasing the pressure on him, forcing Kafu to tap into his combat potential. The integration of the two highest level powers he mastered occasionally produced a brilliant technique. Under pressure, each new technique mastered brought immense joy to Kafu. This continuous stream of joy made the battle extremely enjoyable for him, as he hadn't encountered such a fitting opponent in a long time. He once thought that Jin, who mastered the primordial destruction path, was a suitable opponent, but Jin turned out to be one who resorted to all means for victory, even ambushing Kafu while competing with other opponents for opportunities. Kafu looked down on those who ambushed. He preferred honorable battles. As for winning or losing, Kafu didn't care. He enjoyed the process of the battle. Even if he lost, he would laugh heartily. As for underhanded tactics or ambushes, Kafu despised them. In his view, being undying and undying meant there was no need to care about victory or defeat. One should enjoy the passion of battle. This battle lasted more than one era. It was no longer an ordinary battle but a form of cultivation between Luo Feng and Kafu, both relishing the various gains from the fight. In direct confrontation, Luo Feng fully suppressed Kafu. His strength is now comparable to the Ice Mountain Ancestor and Infinite Snake Ancestor. More and more ancient beings watched the battle. These ancient entities could multitask millions of tasks, splitting a single thought to watch long-term. They gathered extensive information from the battle to assess the strength of Luo Feng and Kafu. Brother Luo Feng, I know your strength is far beyond this, no need to hold back for me, Kafu laughed heartily. Go all out, let me truly experience your strength. Kafu, with his exceptional combat skills, deduced from their exchanges that Luo Feng was restraining his strength. Alright, I will use my newly realized ultimate move to end this battle. Luo Feng also had a great liking for Kafu. This more than an era of time significantly helped in perfecting his primordial blade path. Come on, Kafu anticipated. Luo Feng swung his blade. The first blade, the blade light was dim, seemingly like an endless, heavy earth crushing down. The blade light made the hearts of the many ancient watchers tremble, as it contained 1/10 of Luo Feng's energy reserve. Just as this blade touched Kafu's body, the second blade was already unleashed. The second blade, the blade light, was dazzling and resplendent, as if the brightest light appeared in the world. It carried the elegance of Luo Feng's original origin, great destruction, but this dazzling light was more concentrated, merging the mysteries of life and the power of breaking, landing on Kafu just after the first blade. The third blade, this blade was already majestic. Like a river of destruction obliterating all obstacles. These three blades, each containing 1/10 of Luo Feng's energy reserve. The combination of three blades formed the ultimate killer move of Luo Feng's current perfect technique. Kafu let him unleash his full potential. To thank this friend, he fully displayed his newly realized ultimate killer move. This episode is end here.